Good morning, everyone. My name is Rupantin, and today I'm going to present a presentation from the Group F. And the members are Rupantin, Dave Karoon, Taskira Singh Pannu, Navjot Singh, and Navakash Dev Singh. So we're going to present our case from the Thomas versus Wal-Mart Canadian Company. A legal conflict between the Charlene May Thomas, the plaintiff, and the Wal-Mart Canadian Company. The defendant is described in a case title. It indicates that she has been slip and fall in the case of her personal injury, which prepares her for the negligence and prepare the responsibility of the two topics whether the Wal-Mart is accountable for keeping the consumer safe, analyzing the issue of negligence. The main case improvises on the negligence, which define the instability using the reasonable care as improvising. The subtitle of the presentation, which looks into the Wal-Mart, did to the job providing environment for the consumers to be safe or not. Incident in the case introduction. So it was happened on the 21 August 2002, and the location was Wal-Mart, Yorkton, Saskatchewan. So this was a location which was provided caused her to slip and fall, and the plaintiff claim. So Mrs. Charlene May Thomas, according to this part, Miss Thomas was the one who filed the case against the Wal-Mart because it was identified her as a person who personally suffered from the injury, requesting for the compensation of her injury. Her position as a plaintiff is essential. Wal-Mart. So the Wal-Mart has negligence in maintaining the entrance, which led her to fall. So at this event, Caroline, the plaintiff, was the one who fell on the sideway of the store door, which caused her to stumble and collapse. The main injury was on her wrist, hip, knees, lower back injury experienced her on the left side. According to Miss Thomas, Wal-Mart engaged in the negligence to keep their consumers to safe, which caused her to fall and caused a potential threat to her. The defendant response: Wal-Mart Canadian Company. This was established that Wal-Mart's position as a defendant by identifying it's the part of being used the actions, understanding who is being accountable for the legal conflict. So in the position, the plaintiff claimed to dispute by the Wal-Mart, which maintains the I suppose no uncommon exceptional risk in the environment. The statement implies that they does not think it's a duty of violation since they think ice circumstances are normal. So the legal standard of negligence. What's the meaning of the negligence? It's the failure to take necessary precautions as that the wise person would do in the same situation. So the definition is clear, but the Constitution careless established in the framework for the legal ideas that will be covered. So the maintenance record, Wal-Mart safety procedures. Too uncertain if Wal-Mart took unnecessary steps to resolve the hazards circumstances at the entry, documentation of the store maintenance procedures are for the snow and ice removal recording might be reviewed. Any footages or a visual documentary, any footage of or a camera photograph showing the entrance area conditions will be a key of incidents of a critical evidence. So the maintenance record, Wal-Mart safety procedures. Too uncertain if Wal-Mart took unnecessary steps to resolve the hazards circumstances at the entry, documentation of the store maintenance procedures are for the snow and ice removal recording might be reviewed. Any footages or a visual documentary, any footage of or a camera photograph showing the entrance area conditions will be a key of a incidents of a critical evidence. So the evidence presented by the defendant. Documentary of safety practices. In this order, the documentation of the entrance to the store that shows a routine maintenance and inspection. Employees' testimony. Workers may provide a testimony on what they have did on the day of the event, attesting to the fact that they removed the ice according to which the protocol, and this statement is consistent with the Wal-Mart's claim that they have took precautions to. So the evidence presented by the defendant. Documentary of safety practices. In this order, the documentation of the entrance to the store that shows a routine maintenance and inspection. Employees' testimony. Workers may provide a testimony on what they have did on the day of the event, attesting to the fact that they removed the ice according to which the protocol, and this statement is consistent with the Wal-Mart's claim that they have took precautions to.
Everyone, I am Navjot Singh. Today I am going to present my presentation of Group F. My topic is about issues. Issue number one, was there an unusual danger? Moving towards the content. First content is plaintiff's claim. A clump of ice size of a baseball was present on the sidewalk and caused the fall. Another content is defendant's defense. The area was clear and dry. Any ice present was not large enough to be considered an unusual danger. Description is the central question here is whether the ice clump constituted an unusual danger that Walmart should have known about. The plaintiff claimed that the ice chunk was hidden and dangerous. Walmart disputed this, stating that the size of the ice, even if it existed, did not represent an unusual danger typical of winter conditions. Moving towards another issue. Issue number two is, did Walmart know or should have known? The content is plaintiff's argument. The store failed to ensure that the entranceway was clear of ice, which should have been known and dealt with. Another content is defendant's defense. Walmart had no prior knowledge of the ice and followed reasonable maintenance procedures to keep the area safe. The description is, the court examined if Walmart knew or should have known about the hazard. The plaintiff argued that Walmart should have been more vigilant, and as the ice could have formed due to store operations, Walmart argued that no signs of a hazard were evident and maintenance protocols were followed properly to mitigate any risks. Moving towards the issue number three, did Walmart take reasonable care? The content is Walmart's defense. A daily maintenance routine was in place, including shoveling, salting, and inspection of the sidewalks. Plaintiff's argument was these measures were insufficient as the ice remained. The description is, the court assessed whether Walmart took reasonable care to prevent accidents. Walmart had a regular routine of snow clearing and ice melting, but the plaintiff claimed this was not adequately executed on the day in question. The defense maintained that these efforts were reasonable under the circumstances. Issue number four, was the plaintiff contributory negligent? The content is court's finding. The plaintiff was responsible for her own safety and failed to notice the hazard. Another one is consideration. The plaintiff was carrying an infant which may have distracted her from paying full attention to her surroundings. Therefore, moving towards description, the court also considered whether Miss Thomas contributed to her own fall. While she was carrying her infant in a car seat, it was determined that she should have been more cautious. The visibility of the eyes should have prompted her to take extra care of her safety. Thank you.
Hello and good evening, everyone. My name is Navagashdeep. Here, I would like to continue with the applied rule of law as well as holdings of this case of Thomas versus Wal-Mart, Canada. In this case, the court applied two key legal principles: occupier's liability and negligence. Under the Occupiers Liability Act, Wal-Mart, as the occupier, had a duty to ensure the premises were safe for its visitors. This includes taking reasonable steps to clear the hazards like ice and snow from the parking lots where the customer usually park their cars as well as their other vehicles. The court also applied the standard elements of negligence. First of all, Walmart owed a duty of care to Thomas as well as other customers. Secondly, the store breached that duty by not properly clearing the ice or placing warnings about the hazardous area. The third element, mainly causation, was established because Thomas' fall directly resulted from the ice. Finally, the damages were assessed based on the injuries, medical expenses, and loss of income caused by the incident. When it comes to the court's decision, the court ruled that Walmart was liable for Thomas' injuries by failing to properly clear the ice or warn the customers about the hazardous conditions. The company breached its duty of care. This breach of duty led directly to Thomas' injuries and his fall, making Walmart negligent under the law. As a result, the court ordered Walmart to compensate Thomas for his medical expenses as well as lost wages and other damages. The case highlights the importance of business ensuring the safety for their premises to avoid liability in personal injury cases. So, if we talk about the implications of this case had huge implications for businesses, especially those operating in regions with harsh winter conditions. First of all, it reinforced the legal obligation of businesses to ensure that their premises, including parking areas, are safe for the customers. This mainly means that stores like Walmart must take proactive steps to clear snow and ice from their parking lots, especially in the winter months. Secondly, the ruling highlights the importance of occupiers' liability under the law. It sets a clear precedent that business must go beyond general maintenance and provide warnings about potential hazards. Finally, the decision serves as a reminder to business across Canada that they can be held financially responsible for damages resulting from the negligence or ignorance of the businesses. These damages can include medical costs, lost wages, and even compensation for pain and suffering. In this case, the court awarded damages to Thomas to compensate for the injuries he sustained as a result of the fall. These damages mainly covered several key areas. First of all, Thomas was compensated for his medical expenses. Then he received damages for lost wages since the injuries prevented Thomas from working. In addition to these tangible costs, the court also awarded damages for the pain and suffering. This type of compensation goes beyond financial losses as well as accounts for the physical pain and emotional distress. Overall, these damages were intended to restore Thomas as much as possible to the position he was in before the incident, both financially as well as emotionally. In this case, the court awarded damages to Thomas to compensate for the injuries he sustained as a result of the fall. These damages mainly covered several key areas. First of all, Thomas was compensated for his medical expenses. Then he received damages for lost wages since the injuries prevented Thomas from working. In addition to these tangible costs, the court also awarded damages for the pain and suffering. This type of compensation goes beyond financial losses as well as accounts for the physical pain and emotional distress. Overall, these damages were intended to restore Thomas as much as possible to the position he was in before the incident, both financially as well as emotionally. In this case, the court awarded damages to Thomas to compensate for the injuries he sustained as a result of the fall. These damages mainly covered several key areas. First of all, Thomas was compensated for his medical expenses. Then he received damages for lost wages since the injuries prevented Thomas from working. In addition to these tangible costs, the court also awarded damages for the pain and suffering. This type of compensation goes beyond financial losses as well as accounts for the physical pain and emotional distress. Overall, these damages were intended to restore Thomas as much as possible to the position he was in before the incident, both financially as well as emotionally. So, the case set an important precedent for future cases involving occupiers' liability as well as negligence. This ruling emphasized that business have a clear responsibility to maintain safe environments for their customers. In terms of future implications, this case has served as a warning to all the businesses. Failing to uphold this duty of care can result in being held liable for personal injuries. Companies now understand that even partial maintenance or a lack of clear signage may not be enough to avoid lawsuits. This decision has prompted many businesses to ensure their safety protocols, particularly in outdoor areas like parking lots or sidewalks. Furthermore, the case strengthens the idea that occupiers' liability applies not only to large corporations but to all property owners who invite the public onto their premises. So ultimately, this decision continues to influence future rulings and reminds business to remain vigilant in keeping their premises safe year round. So there are some learnings from this case for businesses as well as for customers. For businesses, this case highlights the importance of actively maintaining safe premises, especially in regions with harsh winter conditions. It's not enough to simply rely on the general maintenance routines. Companies must take proactive steps like regularly clearing snow and ice from the parking lots and walkways. Another key reason is that occupiers' liability applies to all businesses that invite the public onto their property, like stores, Walmart, and any other grocery store. For customers, this case serves as a reminder to remain cautious and be aware, especially in winter conditions. While businesses are responsible for ensuring safety, customers should also be aware of their surroundings and take care when navigating potentially hazardous areas.
Hi, my name is Dave. In this case, the Saskatchewan Court of Queen Bench had to address an important issue related to employment law, specifically the concept of just case. Just case refers to the condition under which an employer can fire someone without warning or compensation. The court had to determine whether Wal-Mart was justified in its decision to dismiss Thomas. This case is important because it demonstrates how courts safeguard employees' right to fair treatment in the workplace. Okay, so now let's talk about the legal concepts involved. First, just case. This means that an employer must have a solid and serious reason to fire an employee without notice, like misconduct or have poor performance. It's not something employers can claim lightly. Secondly, there's the idea of progressive discipline, which is all about fairness. Employers should give employees warnings and opportunities to improve before resorting to dismissal. It's a process that encourages communication and accountability between employer and the employee. In this case, the court closely examined Walmart's reason for firing Thomas. The evidence showed that Walmart hadn't properly followed progressive discipline steps. There was no documented warnings or attempts to resolve any issues with Thomas before the termination. The lack of process became a key factor in the court's decision as it weakened Walmart's claim of just case for dismissal. Ultimately, the court ruled that Walmart didn't provide enough evidence to prove just case for Thomas' termination. The reasons given didn't meet the legal threshold for serious misconduct. Because of this, the court found out Thomas was wrongfully dismissed. The decision highlights the importance of employers being able to justify their actions when firing an employee without notice. This ruling is important for employment law because it strengthens the protection against unfair dismissal. It shows that employers must follow fair and established procedures, including progressive discipline, before firing someone. This case serves as a warning to businesses that they need to treat employees fairly and transparently or face legal consequences. Now, to summarize, the ruling in this case reinforces the idea that employers must adhere to legal standards when firing employees. It emphasizes fairness and due process, ensuring that employees are not dismissed without proper cause. This case is a reminder of the balance between protecting workers' rights and allowing employers to manage their business responsibly. Thank you.
Question. What was the primary legal issue in Thomas versus Wal-Mart Canada Incorporation? The central legal issue was wrongful dismissal. The plaintiff Thomas alleged that Walmart has terminated her employment without just cause, violating her employment contract and entitling her to damages. Walmart, however, claimed that the dismissal was justified due to alleged misconduct. The case examines the standard of just case in employment law and evidence required for an employer to lawfully terminate on employee on these grounds. The next question is, what is the legal standard for just case in employment termination as applied in this case? Answer. Just case for dismissal, as outlined in the case, requires evidence of serious misconduct, incompetence, and other breaches of duty by the employee that are incompatible with continued employment. In Thomas versus Walmart, the court evaluated if Thomas' actions constituted serious enough misconduct to meet his standard. The court examined her work history, specific incidents of alleged misconduct, and Walmart's response, determining that the employer did not establish just case. The third question is, how did the court assess the credibility of the evidence presented by both parties? Answer. The court scrutinized the credibility of the testimonies and documents submitted by both Thomas and Walmart. Thomas' version of events and Walmart records of her alleged infractions were compared to see if there was a consistent and clear pattern of behavior that could justify dismissal. The judge considered factors like the plausibility of the testimony, the documentation consistency, and the employer response to the similar incidents with other employers to make a balanced decision on the credibility of the evidence. And the fifth and the last question is, what broader implications does this case have for employers in handling employee misconduct and dismissals? Answer. The case underscores the importance for employer to have concrete documented evidence of misconduct. If they intended to justify termination without notice, employer must handle dismissals consistently and fairly to avoid claims of wrongful dismissal. It also highlights the minor or isolated incidents are unlikely to constitute just case. For HR practices, this case reinforces the necessity for clear policies, regular employee evaluations, and documented performance or conduct warning before considered termination. Thank you. And the fifth and the last question is, what broader implications does this case have for employers in handling employee misconduct and dismissals? Answer. The case underscores the importance for employer to have concrete documented evidence of misconduct. If they intended to justify termination without notice, employer must handle dismissals consistently and fairly to avoid claims of wrongful dismissal. It also highlights the minor or isolated incidents are unlikely to constitute just case. For HR practices, this case reinforces the necessity for clear policies, regular employee evaluations, and documented performance or conduct warning before consider termination. Thank you.